So what is factory design pattern? So what exactly we are doing in factory design pattern? So we are going to create one interface and interface or the abstract class and the subclasses, right? The subclasses which we are going to use, those will be responsible to create an object of that factory. Okay, so this is the structure of this factory pattern. So we will be having one client code where we again we have one factory interface or the abstract class, and then we have the product interface, and that product interface will be having one concrete that product interface. Product is an interface, so we have to create concrete classes to implement that interface, and each concrete class will have separate logic. So whenever we are going to create an object of this product interface, so we are not directly creating an object of this concrete product A or the product B. Instead of that, we are just creating an object by using this interface. So this is nothing but the factory design pattern where the subclass, the different definition says it is a creational design patterns which talks about the creation of object, because this is a creational design pattern where we are going to create the object. But who is responsible to create that object? So we are not directly creating that object, but instead of that, what we are doing, so in the factory pattern we will be defining one interface or the abstract class, and let the subclasses decide which object to instantiate. So we will not directly creating an object, but the subclass will decide which object to create. So and it is one of the best way to create an object where object creation logic. So this is the purpose of this factory design pattern. So wherever we have to hide that object creation logic from the client, or in that scenario we will be going to use the factory design pattern. So what it says, it is one of the best way to create object where object creation logic is hidden to the client. So we are not directly exposing that object creation logic. So instead of that, what we are doing, so we are just providing the interface and the factory method. And on the basis of that factory method, we will be creating a different type of object. Okay, how will you implement this factory design pattern? So what we have to do in the factory design pattern? So so this is product interface, right? So we can see here we have the product interface. So that interface we have two concrete subclasses, concrete product A and concrete product B. Those will be implementing this product interface, and we will be having one factory class that is make product, and we will not expose the direct object creation of product A and the product B. Instead of that, what we are doing, we are just exposing this interface to create the object on the basis of this factory class. So I will show you the code after, like, once we see the code, we will be able to understand what exactly this factory pattern is. So, okay, so we have one class diagram. So if you see this geometric shape, right? So this is the interface which says like we are going to draw. It has the draw method, which is an abstract method under this geometric shape interface. Then we have three implementation classes for this. One is line, another one is circle, and third one is rectangle. So we are implementing this geometric shape under the line, circle, and the rectangle, and we are just overriding the draw method. Okay, because we are implementing interface, so we have to override the draw method. So now we have the shape factory. So under the shape factory, we have the method get shape. So what we are doing, so whenever, let's say I want to draw a circle. So what we will do, so we will going to create an object of this circle class, and on the basis of that object, we will be calling the draw method. So that was the earlier approach before the factory pattern. So let's say I want to draw the circle. So what we will do, we will create an object of this circle class, and we will call the draw method. But in the factory pattern, what we are doing, so instead of directly exposing this circle object, we are exposing that circle object by using a geometric shape interface. And to expose that object or to create that circle object, we will be using the factory. That is nothing but the shape factory. Okay, and then in the main we are just calling that shape factory on the basis of like whatever parameter we are passing to create that object, either it is a line or the circle or the rectangle. On the basis of that, the shape factory will create an object, and on the basis of that object we will be calling the draw method. Let's say if we have created an object of the line, then we will be drawing the line. Let's say if we are creating the object of the circle, then we will be calling the draw method of the circle. Okay, so this is the class diagram. So you will able to understand more once we see the code. This factory pattern is very simple. Where when we use the factory pattern, let's say if we don't want to expose the object creation logic, here also we are creating an object, but the thing is we don't want to expose that object creation logic to the third party or maybe to the other module. So if we have such a scenario, then what we are doing, so we are using a factory pattern. And how we will implement the factory pattern, we will have one interface, and we will having the concrete classes to implement that interface. And again we will have one shape factory class which will have that logic to create the object. Okay, so I want notification in the email format, then one in MQ format. So I want to pass something to the MQs, and another one is into SMS format. So I want to notify to the client by using SMS or email, or I just want to post one message into MQ so that other application will consume that message from the MQ. So for that, I have created one interface. This is nothing but the notification interface, which is having one abstract method notify user. Okay. So now I'm going to create three concrete classes. One is email notification, which will implement this notification interface, and I'm just overriding that notify method. And I'm just saying that this is sending an email notification. So similarly, I'm having SMS notification, which will implement this notification interface, and we are just overriding that method. On the similar line, so we have this MQ notification, and currently I just added one sysout statement. I have not written any other code, so I just want to show you like what will be the structure and how will you create an interface and these corresponding subclasses. Okay, so this is the interface, and I have three concrete classes to implement this interface. Okay, so now I'm into a main class. So let's say normally, right, before the factory pattern. So what we used to do, so let's say I want to call this email notification, this notify user method of the email notification. So what we will do directly, we will use that email notification class like this. Let's say email notification one equal to new email notification, create the object and call the method. So this is not the better approach. So what we did, so we have created an interface, and through interface, so through interface we are calling that notification method. So let's say I am creating object of type email notification, and I'm storing that object into interface. I have just created a reference variable of the interface notification, and I am creating an object of email notification, and then I'm calling this notify user. So let's say if I run this, so it will show sending an email notification. But again, right? So let's say this main is a third party class. So here we have exposed this object to create a email notification. So we have you use the new keyword and then the class name. So the client will know, okay, which type of notification we are going to call. So either it is an email or the SMS or the create MQ. So here, we are directly exposing this creation logic of the object, whichever, we are calling that method. So we have to, so this is before the factory pattern. So we used to do this, and then we create the object, and then we used to call the methods. So instead of that, so what we are going to create, so this object creation logic, right? So this object creation logic we are going to put into the factory class. So for that, I have created one notification factory. So if you see this code, so I have created one public class, which is nothing but the factory class. I have named it as a notification factory, and I have created one method which is create notification, and I'm just passing one parameter as a channel. So whatever the type of parameter we are passing, on the basis of that, I'm creating the object. Let's say initially I'm just checking the null and the empty, and let's say if we need the object of SMS notification, then let's say this channel is a SMS, then we are returning the object of SMS notification. If it is an email, then we are returning the email notification. If it is a push, then we have to push that message into the MQ. So we are creating a MQ notification. And let's say if other than this, then we are just returning the null. So this is, so what exactly we did into the factory class. So we just removed that object creation, the hard-coded object creation logic into the factory class, and on the basis of parameter, we are just returning the object. If it is a SMS, then we are returning the SMS notification object. If it is email, then we are returning the email notification. So this is nothing but the factory class, where we have created one create factory method, create notification method, and on the basis of different parameter, it will return the different type of. So the object creation logic we have separated from the direct calling from that main class. So instead of that, what we did, we have created the factory class, and through the factory class, we will be calling that object creation. So so that's it. We just need to create that factory class, and we have to separate that object creation logic and into the notification service. So I'm just removing this part of the code. Okay. And instead of directly creating an object, so what we will do, we will use the factory to create the object. So here, so I have created an object of this factory class, notification factory, and I'm calling that create notification method. And if I'm passing SMS, then I know that notification one will be type of SMS notification class. This object, this interface will hold the object of SMS notification. And if we call this notify method, so it will print that SMS notification. Okay. And let's say if we are passing an email to this create notification factory method, and the object this factory method will return, it will be a type of email notification. So if let's see, so yeah, so if it will come here, and we will be returning the email notification type object, and then we are keeping that object into this notification too. Then the method which we are calling, so that will be from this email notification class. Similarly, this is for the MQ. So now what we removed from here, so so we just removed the object creation logic, that hard coded object creation logic, directly exposing to the client. Instead of that, we are just exposing the factory, and factory will take care like which type of object to create. So if let me run this. So if we run this class, okay, so it shows the first, it is calling the sending the SMS notification, then we are sending the email notification, and then we are sending the push notification to the M. Okay, so the client, this code is related to the client, right? Client is calling this float. So let's say if this is the part of the code, client is not aware like which class internally it is using. So we are just hiding that implementation logic from the client, and we are just exposing that notification factory. We are just exposing the factory method, and that factory method will take care like which type of object to call, which type of object to create, and which method to call. So if you imagine you are creating a furniture shop. Okay, we are creating one furniture shop, and in the furniture shop we have type of chair, sofas, and the coffee table. Okay, we have the different varieties of each sofa, chair, and the coffee table available. Okay, what are those varieties? First is a modern, then second one is Victorian, and third one is Art Deco, something like a more decorative way. So these three types of variety we have for each one. So let's say these three types, modern, Victorian, and the Art Deco, we have available for the chair as well as sofa as well as coffee table. Okay, this is our problem statement. So what we are going to create, so if you see this diagram, right, we have this art deco as a one type, and that is nothing but we have the chairs, sofa, and the coffee table under that category as well. Then we have the Victorian, where also we have the sofa, then chair, and the coffee table. And similarly for the modern also we have the chair, sofa, and the coffee table. Okay, so the client don't know anything about internally how we are creating the different object, how we are returning that sofa, the chair, and the coffee table. He'll say just I need something which is very fancy. So for that, what we are going to create, we are going to create an abstract factory pattern where we will be having the factory of each type. let's say if you just see the abstract factory, so on the top level, we just need the chair, sofa, and the coffee table. And under that, we have the different factories for the chair, for the sofa, and the coffee table. So we will be having the internal factories for the chair, sofa, and the coffee table. And the client don't want those internal detail, like what kind of factories, what kind of object it is holding, and what kind of object it is returning. So it just need that client sofa and the coffee table of type, let's say the modern one. So he will just call, okay, I need this type of object. So internally, we will not put hard coded anything to the client. So instead of that, we are just creating an abstract factory where we will be having one abstract layer of the factories, and under under that abstract level, we will be having the multiple type of factory patterns which are internally implemented, and each factory pattern is responsible to return that type of the object. Okay, so if you see this example, so solution, right? Solution, what we are doing, so let's say if we are creating a chair factory, right? For the chair factory, we are creating one interface as a chair. It has a legs and sit on. So for chair, what we need, we just need to understand whether it has a legs and a sit on. So these two functionalities we need for the chair, and we will be having concrete classes like Victorian chair, modern chair, and then design wali, the art one chair. So these two or the three concrete, like what are the concrete classes which we need to implement for the chair interface, we will be going to implement. Then we will be having furniture factory, and furniture factory will create the type of chair, type of. So if you see this is nothing but the abstract factory pattern. So if you see this diagram, right? So this is for the abstract factory. What internally it is doing? So internally, this furniture factory is an abstract level. Under that, we will be having that Victorian furniture, modern furniture factory, and the art furniture factory. So these three factory patterns, which internally, each factory pattern is a each factory pattern is having the combination, not the combination, is having that create chair functionality, create coffee table functionality, create sofa functionality. So we need this for the house. So we need a chair, we need a sofa, and we need a coffee table. So these three things we need, and which is type of Victorian furniture factory. So the Victorian furniture factory is responsible to create that type of object, and then the modern furniture factory is responsible to create the modern type of chairs, table, coffee table, and the sofa. And these factories we are combining inside the furniture factory. And furniture factory is one more layer of abstraction. So the client which is coming to our application, so he does not need to know anything about what internally Victorian furniture factory is doing, how it is returning that create chair object, and then how it is creating the chair internally. So it just need a create chair. So it will call the furniture factory abstract level. So it will just call this furniture factory's create chair method, and internally what it does, it will check like what type of chair that client needs. Is he needs the Victorian chair or the modern chair? Then it will come into, let's say it is a Victorian, then it will come to this Victorian furniture factory, and then we will be calling this create chair method of this Victorian factor. But those things are happening internally. We are not exposing anything to external to the client will just call the create chair method, and they will just pass the Victorian as a parameter. Okay, so here, so we have created an abstraction, one more level of abstraction, where we are just creating that furniture factory as an abstract level, and under that we will be having the multiple factory patterns which are internally implemented, and each factory pattern is responsible to create those kind of objects. Okay. Yeah, so this is the example, and this is the overall class diagram for this factory. There will be a abstract factory, and that abstract factory internally implements that abstract factory will be getting implemented into concrete factory one and concrete factory two, and that concrete factory two will be having the different type of concrete products, and similarly the concrete factory one will be also having that basically nothing but our factory pattern. Internally, it will implement the factory pattern, but we will be having one more abstraction as an abstract factory. And instead of directly exposing that factory pattern, factory methods, we are exposing it to abstract factory, and that abstract factory we are calling to the that methods will be calling from the client. So if you see this client, so he will not directly call that concrete factory one. So he will be calling through the abstract factory, and that abstract factory will be responsible to return the object of concrete factory, and that concrete factory internally will call those methods. Okay, so this is the abstract factory pattern. Here, we will be implementing a factory pattern itself, but we will be adding one more level of abstraction. That is nothing but the abstract factory. And the client code will not call the factory methods directly, but they will be calling through the abstract factory